This is my third game in the Norwegian Chess Championship 2010 in Class 4, and I'm playing Allan Lilleøren. He's a member of the chess club Lørenskog, and he has a rating of 1038. Now, this is me in a nutshell. My opponent is opening with the Sicilian defense, and instead of playing along, I continue with my, excuse my language, half-assed opening. I googled it. It does have a name, inverted Philidor, identical as to what I play with the black pieces. And what I'm actually doing here is giving away every advantage you could possibly have with the white pieces. And I'm analyzing my games after they are played with Torstein Bae. He's an international master with a FIDE rating over 2400, and he's telling me, you gotta stop opening like this. At least get your bishop outside your pawn chain, don't lock it in. And right now my bishop is actually pretty much locked in here, and I'm not really seeing an advantage to the way I'm opening, and I'm learning a few things here. Number one, I need to learn the Sicilian defense so I can actually counter it, and having the white pieces, I gotta start doing something else. The reason I move my h3 pawn is not so much to prevent him from getting his bishop to g4, it's more to prevent his knight from coming to g4, because if I am in a position to mount an attack here on the c1 h6 diagonal to try to exchange dark colored bishops, he has no possibility to put his knight on g4 and harass whichever piece I place on the h6 square. But he is anticipating what I'm going to do, and he moves his rook away here on the e8 square. So when I come down on the h6 square, he can just move his bishop to h8, and I have no possibility to force an exchange of bishops. And moving it to g5 is actually just to try to make it a little more difficult for him to move his knight and pawn here, as long as his queen is on the d-file. Now, moving my knight to h2 here has two purposes. Number one, I'm planning to move my f2 pawn here up to f4, and also my knight will have the ability to move to g4 and possibly dislodge his knight on f6. The downside is that my knight is now not protecting the d4 square, which I'm actually giving up for free. In this position, all I need to do is actually put my knight on d1 to protect this b2 square. And the reason it needs protecting is he has a bishop hidden away here on h8, and with his knights moved away, his bishop is bearing down on my b2 pawn and my rook here on a1. But I decide not to do that. I want the connection between my rooks, so I move it to a4, which is not necessarily a good thing, because right now I have a knight on the a file, and I also have a knight on the h file, and neither knight is near the center of the board. Now he's putting pressure on my knight, and I'm contemplating what to do here. What I would like to do is put my pawn here on b3, because I feel very comfortable with a V-shaped pawn structure like this. But in this situation, my weakest pawn is on an open file here, and had my opponent had a pawn here, I would have felt much more comfortable doing this. And also I'm looking into the possibility to try to exchange pawns here. What I end up doing is actually moving to c4 and letting my opponent decide the decision for me. And he does take my pawn en passant, and now I have the ability to move my knight to c3, take his pawn and get it more into the action of the game. But I am not certain, but I have a feeling that this a pawn of his is going to be hard to defend, and I'm trying to make the battle appear more on the D through H file and getting rid of all the pieces on the A, B and C file. So I take his pawn with my pawn here, and now he's just putting much more pressure on my my knight, and also I have an undefended pawn here. When I move my knight here to b2 and force his queen off the A file with my rook, I am anticipating a check here on c5, and I'm planning to move my pawn from d3 to d4 here to prevent it and make him move his queen again. What I'm not seeing is that he can actually check me from the b6 square. And when I now move my pawn to d4, I'm actually losing out on a pawn, because what he can do is he can just take my pawn here, which is now undefended except from the queen. But if I take with my queen, he can take my knight also, and I'm a pawn down. But he does not see that, and he moves his pawn to e5, which will force an exchange. To prevent him from taking my e4 pawn, I decide to take his knight, but by doing so I'm actually losing a pawn, because my d4 pawn here cannot move because of the queen here and my king on g1. And in the exchange here, I am losing the game. I thought of moving my rook to b4 here just in pure desperation, but I have already decided that this game is lost, and I move my queen here to f2 just to prevent him from moving his d4 pawn. And I'm a little fixated here on the possibility to get my rooks connected, moving it to b7, and with my queen here on f2, I might be able to take his pawn here, or at least harass his pawn here on f7. But like I said, the game is actually already lost. And this is where I give up. With 49 participants in class 4, my opponent ends up in second place.